Hey guys, Giraffetard here. Um, so as some of you may or may not know, I played The Outer Worlds. I was streamed it like a couple times for a little bit. Um, yeah, so I know this is Borderlands 3 gameplay, but that's because I didn't record any gameplay of my time playing The Outer Worlds. Um, Mostly because I didn't think that I would be making this kind of video. Because I'm not usually one to do this, but I feel like this was necessary, and I kind of want to see how the style of video would play out. So this is going to be a review, my personal review, not a professional or an official review or anything. But this is going to be my personal review based off of my experience playing The Outer Worlds, and it's going to be dubbed over this Borderlands 3 stuff. So, Outer Worlds. Oh, where do I even begin? So to start off, I was playing on the hardest difficulty. Let's get that out of the way now before everybody like tears me to pieces. Like, oh, why didn't you just play on this difficulty? I did. Um, Set it to supernova and didn't change it at all. Um, so going through the beginning and like exploring and all this fun stuff. Well, fun, quote unquote. Um, First of all, to begin with, nothing really gripped me. Nothing really like hooked me into the game, right? So I'm not muted, am I? Okay. Just wanted to make sure my mic was muted before I had to just re-record 2 hours or 2 minutes of audio. Um. So yeah, nothing really hooked me from the beginning. Um. The plot was already over, like all over the place. Um. Basically, from my understanding, and if I missed something, I apologize. Um. It's hard to follow. It was hard for me to follow. Basically, you play as a astronaut or a space explorer who was a part of this ship called the Hope. That was the name of like your beginning ship, and and everybody in that ship goes into cryostasis or suspended animation, as they called it. Same thing. You get the idea. Cryo sleep. You are then woke. You start off waking up because the scientist Phineas Wells thaws you out specifically because protag and all that fun stuff. Um, and then basically you live in this world where you everything is run by a corporation. Basically, everything's all about business and you know working and production and efficiency and all this stuff. And there are these corrupt elitists, and the head honchos of the place is called like this small group of people called the board. And the board is like the ones that call the shots and run, or it's all run by the chairman Rockwell. He's like the leader of Halcyon, which is basically the universe, or like the basically grand area where you're in, like basically the universe. um Phineas believes that the board should not exist, and that the board is actually ruining and enslaving the people because they're corrupt. Um, and then, so obviously you get the choice of who you want to side with. You can either side with the board or you can side with the people. And so I sided with the people on this playthrough. Um, and everything was going fine. Everything was going dandy until I got to, oh, I forgot the name of the planet. It was basically like the second to final planet that you go to. I think it's just a different area on Terra 2, which is like the second Earth. Um yeah, once I got there, when I first got there, it was insanely difficult. It was immensely difficult. The enemies were hard. They were doing a lot of damage, and they weren't taking a lot of damage. Um, but then it was like I got a scoped heavy assault rifle, and that thing was just taking them out like there was nothing. It was easy. Like the game, as soon as I got that gun, everything became just so easy. And so I'm going through and I'm going through and I'm playing through this quest line of this area, and I get a choice between to help the Ioniclists, however you pronounce it, or the MSI, which is like the bigger corporation, whereas the Ioniclists are like rebels, basically. They like people who believed um, that everybody should be free and everybody should be able to do what they want. Obviously, it doesn't work. In my opinion, that doesn't work because of anarchy and blah 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 political bullshit. I don't want to go into. Um, so I sided with the MSI, and my main objective was to get them to stop broadcasting over this channel so that the broker that I was looking for, that Phineas Wells sent me on, um, said that the MSI and the Ioniclists were hacking the radio station and hacking the broadcast tower and using it for their own propaganda. So you get the choice of either siding with the MSI or the Ioniclists, which, depending on which group, which faction you choose, helps you storm Tartarus, the final area after Phineas gets captured. There's spoilers in this, by the way. It's a fucking game review. There's gonna be spoilers, but I'll put a disclaimer at the beginning of the video. Um. So yeah, I sided with the MSI, and then I walk into the Ioniclists and tell them, "Hey, you need to stop broadcasting. Blah blah blah. Let me do my job." They say no, and you can either try and talk to them and bribe them, or you can kill them and fight everybody in the city. I chose the violent way. Um, and this was when I like this was the pivotal moment for me that really killed the game for me. I used one gun, just a simple plasma carbine that had no upgrades, and I was able to kill everybody in that city without any issue, without any problems. I didn't even have to heal once. And remember, I'm on the hardest difficulty. Shit's not supposed to be this easy. Like, I didn't die. I died once during this playthrough. And that was because I wasn't paying attention during a loading screen. I was on my phone because this game is full of incredibly long loading screens, which is another topic I'll get into. But anyway, going back to the general difficulty of the game, it just felt so easy. And then when you get to the final boss and you get into Tartarus and you're trying to save Phineas Wells, you fight this shielded mech called the Ram. And it's not that big. It's about the size of a power loader, I guess. Similar to the size of the mech that's on the screen right now that I'm piloting in Borderlands 3. Around that size. It's got a giant riot shield and it's got a plasma Gatling gun. Well, as complicated as it might sound, all he does, and the way to beat him, is he's got a power battery on his back that you have to shoot. Well, how do you shoot it, you might be asking? He does a charge attack, and then after he's like hit the wall or hit something that isn't you, he's got to take time to recharge and basically stagger, which gives you time to then shoot the battery on his back. So once I figured that out, and of course he spawns like minions, like these little combat drones, like these little robots, and a shit ton of them to make it harder. But once I figured out that that was the pattern, it took me 5 minutes and the boss was over. And that was it. That was the boss fight. It was done, simple, and over with. And of course, and once I beat him, once I destroyed the Ram, all of the combat drones fell. And that's it. That's basically the end of the game, in a nutshell. All you do after that is you walk up into the chairman's office where he's holding Phineas, and Of course, this being like the final enemy, the final person you get to fight. You think it'd be some dramatic, conversation, argument, fight, whatever you want to call it, and then it leads into like this suspenseful, intense duel between you and the chairman of all of Halcyon and the leader of the board. Nope. None of that. I opened the door to his office, put one bullet in his head. That was it. I literally walked in there and just pressed R2 and he died. No suspense, no drama, no final confrontation, nothing like that. Just. So now, getting on to what I was talking about earlier. Outer Worlds is a fantasy RPG style game. Compared to like Skyrim or Fallout, it's supposed to be like Fallout in space or whatever. And this game was released in 2019. After you save Phineas, or whatever you choose to do, whatever kind of ending you chose, that's it. That's the game. You cannot. The only way, after you get through the final cutscene, that's it. It's roll credits, main screen. You can't continue as that character and continue doing side stuff. No. Before you enter Tartarus, you have to do everything else in the game first. Otherwise, you cannot go back. And yes, there is a screen. I know. There is a screen that tells you, hey, this is the point of no return. But even then, this game was released in 2019. And if it's supposed to be following the same model as like Skyrim and Fallout, who specifically I'm focusing on Fallout 3 more than any other one. And the reason I'm focusing on Fallout 3 is because Fallout 3, the base game, was the same way. Once you got through the final cutscene and the final thing, that's it. That's the game. You can't continue as that save file. You have to do everything else before you start the end part of the story. Until they released a certain DLC. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. I apologize. Not the point. Point is, Fallout and Bethesda realized their mistake and added a DLC to that game to where you could continue. Even though prior in the base game, once you're done, you're done. And then looking at Skyrim, you could go and defeat Alduin and get the final cutscene and everything, but you can still continue playing the game. But then this game, which was released years later, literally released last year, doesn't follow that method, I guess. They made the same mistakes as Fallout 3 did back in, 2008? 2012? Alexa, when did Fallout 3 get released?
Fallout 3 was released on October 28, 2008, and it is available on PC, PlayStation 3, and Xbox 360.
2008. They made the same mistake as Fallout 3, which was released 13 years ago. Or 12 years ago. Sorry. So basically, between the unimaginative, I guess, for lack of a better term, unimaginative plot that failed to grip me and failed to hook me in from the very beginning, the overall ease and there wasn't a challenge. There was no challenge, basically. That's what I'm trying to get at. There was no challenge. Game was easy. Bad plot. Well, not bad plot, but confusing, hard to follow, hard to hook the player, me, plot, and then the disappointing ending. This is probably one of the most disappointing games I've played. I'm not gonna lie to you. And hey, I'm not saying it's a bad game. I'm just saying I'm not the biggest fan of it. I would not personally give it a good rating. And I'm not going to throw numbers at it because I don't even want to try to put up a number scale. And I'm not saying don't play it. I'm just saying I wouldn't play it again. As soon as I got done and as soon as I realized that I couldn't continue after I had beat the story, I deleted the game. It is off of my PlayStation. I am never touching it again. I'm never thinking about it again. It was a one playthrough, one and done. That's it. I'm done. I'm not playing it. I'm not touching it. I'm gonna forget I even wasted my time, energy, and money on that. So thank you if you're still somehow still here after my 15 and a half minute long rant about how much this game disappointed me, which really takes a lot for me to go for 15 minutes about why something disappointed me. I thank you, and I very, very much thank you. Thank you so much for sticking through my bullshit and listening to me on my soapbox rant of how much I hate this fucking game. With that being said, thank you guys once again for sticking through. Check out everything else on my channel, and if you like this style of video, let me know and I'll make more of them. Alright, thank you guys again. Have a good one. Peace out.